Welcome to today's webinar on intermittent fasting, or flexible fasting, I should say. Aeryon and I were just talking about that, and I love her approach that it's not strictly, this rigid, has to be this way type of approach, that there's different types of fast, different opportunities, and it's all about listening to your body's cues as well. So I can't wait to learn more about that. For those of you I haven't met, my name's Natasha. Oh, I'm just going to hit record. Hang on. There's some people who need the recording. Oh, I did. We're good. My name's Natasha Villeneuve. I'm a holistic nutritionist and the lead of the Natural Food Pantry Education Initiative. This is something we've been doing here at Natural Food Pantry for about 6 years now. So prior to COVID, we ran all of our events in person, mostly at the Barhaven location. And since COVID, obviously, we've moved to online. So hopefully we can start soon. We'll start shifting to some in person and some online, or maybe hybrid model or approach. So looking forward to that, looking forward to connecting and seeing some people live in person in the store, yay! And still connecting with you all online as well. I'm really excited about today's webinar. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So I've got you all on mute right now. I ask that you keep your microphones on mute throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, though, type them in the chat or save them for the end, and we'll definitely save some time at the end of the webinar to address any questions that come up. The webinar is recorded. It's being recorded and it'll be sent out to all registrants tomorrow. So if you need to review, if there's anything that you miss, you can always catch it again tomorrow. And I'm so pleased to have Aeryon Ashlie back with us. Some of you may have seen her present back in January. She offered a webinar on winning at weight loss. It was phenomenal, very inspiring. I loved hearing about her personal story, her personal journey, and everything that she had to teach us. Very well received, and many of you requested to have her back. So here she is back for flexible fasting webinar. Just a little bit about Aeryon. Aeryon Ashlie is the founder of Aeryon Wellness Supplements. She's a certified holistic nutritionist, weight loss expert, speaker, #1 best-selling author, and on-air radio personality. Aeryon's mission is to empower women through holistic health. Her female-focused support supplements are a result of over 20 years of personal experience with hormonal imbalances, weight management, stress, and sleep issues. She resides in Vancouver, BC with her daughter and her poodles. And for more information on her products, books, or upcoming events, you can visit aeryonwellness.com. We'll be sure to send out the link to her website with a follow-up email as well. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, Aeryon. I'll hand it over to you and you can
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. We have a PowerPoint. I'm always a fan of a PowerPoint. So thank you all. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Natasha. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you very much for having me back and all your support with Aeryon Wellness and kind of getting my message out. I also want to thank the Natural Food Pantry for listing my products and supporting a female-owned brand here in Canada. I appreciate it much, much so. And thank you everybody for attending today. So as she said, a couple housekeeping rules. I'm going to answer questions at the end, and this way I can just kind of power through the talk. So please just make a note and I will answer everything. So I'm not going to open the chat up until I have, I have a couple opportunities to win a prize and possibly just a Q&A, like a little question in the inside. So that's when I'll open the chat up. So grab some water. Make sure you have your water with you, a notepad if you like, and luckily this will be sent out after. So if you do have any questions or want to rewatch it, it's there for you. So today we're discussing flexible fasting. I don't really need to go through this slide because you lovely introduced me so well, Natasha. So as she said, I'm the founder and CEO of Aeryon Wellness. I have cookbooks and a #1 bestseller on Amazon called Bulimia to Balance. My most prized job to date is actually I'm the mother to a beautiful 13-year-old who seems to be going on 20. And she's almost taller than me now. And she really is the catalyst for my own health and wellness journey, and then leading to my supplement brand. I kind of had my aha moment, as Oprah Winfrey coined it, about, I guess, 13 years ago. I had been chronically dieting, chronically over-exercising, struggled with eating disorders. And I had a moment where my daughter almost kind of caught me in a purging act. And when I caught my reflection, I realized if I didn't get a hold on this, that this would be my daughter's destiny and her relationship with food by watching me. And it was really in that moment that I began my own personal journey to find what real, holistic health is and what that looks like. And it really came down to not just supplementation and not just diet and not just exercise, but accumulation of all these different things together, looking at nutrition, looking at our beliefs, our conversations we're having with ourselves on a day-to-day basis, the thoughts we think it's so important, then food, then friendship and support, environment, all these different things together lead to a balanced mind, body, and spirit approach to having holistic health, which is really the pillars behind my supplement brand. The first pillar is the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, your daily movement, nutrition, and then supplementation, because supplementation is designed to supplement your diet. So we're going to be kind of using these pillars in a way to kind of move through this conversation today and looking at different ways in which this applies to fasting, how this can apply to your day-to-day life in pursuing and having excellence in health and wellness. So I will first start off by saying I am a little biased when it comes to flexible fasting, intermittent fasting. I do practice it myself, and I really enjoy it. It's been a really great way for me to learn how to connect to my hunger cues. For so many years, I never really was aware of my hunger cues. I think we can all resonate with, eating so fast and you're like, what did I just eat? That kind of thing. So this really has brought awareness, acute awareness to when I'm hungry, why I'm hungry, and letting go of that need to feel like I need to eat right away just because I'm hungry. So today, to points of discussion, we're going to be talking about the history of fasting, fasting types, health benefits. Is this for you? Mindfulness, nutrition, supplementation, and then a little couple bonus things in the end as well. So the history of fasting. Fasting has been around for many, many, many centuries. Late in the Paleolithic era, we were hunters and gatherers. If you think about it, we'd catch our food, we eat, and sometimes we wouldn't have food for a couple days. So there would be this, days in which we didn't eat and days in which we did eat. Plus, we also know there's numerous religions around the world that actually use practice fasting as well. So technically, we've kind of been using intermittent fasting, whether we call it that or not, throughout history. And when you look at traditions and practices, one thing is very clear. We are designed to be flexible around food, right? And to really learn to connect, but to be flexible around food. However, now we have grocery stores and refrigerators, and food is preserved much longer and constantly available. And we can eat as much and often as we like. However, the issue is that often that excess food is not justified by extra movement, right? It's not, we're eating a bunch of food and then we're out running a race. We're kind of eating and then we're not doing as much. And what we need to really be aware of, we're going to talk about insulin in a second, is eating food stimulates insulin, and that can make us more hungry and crave more carbs and kind of creates this perpetual cycle. So this overabundance of this processed food has led to an increased level of inflammation, obesity, diabetes, and then of course, disease. So what is fasting? I like him. Fasting, if you don't know the actual term, works by it's a prolonged period of time in which your body is burning through calories consumed from your last meal. So essentially you're not eating, right? And the body exhausts the sugar stores and starts burning fat for energy. That's really what we're looking at when we're getting into fasting. And the real idea I like behind this, and if you come from a dieting background where I was really in the land of restriction and couldn't have stuff, and whenever, I don't know if anybody is like me, but whenever you tell me I can't have something, I just want it so much more. It's like, I don't know if that's that little Aeryon in me. They're like, I want it. So the idea of looking, instead of looking at when we're eating, right, and why we're eating, and considering just what. So it's not this idea of what we're eating, it becomes more of a lifestyle. It's not a diet anymore. So really shifting our mentality around that has been really helpful, I find, for myself and other people that I've worked for too, when you look at fasting. So when we entirely, as we were talking about before, or partially abstain from eating for set amounts of time, that is called intermittent fasting. So you take a break, then you eat, then you take a break, right? And my word sugar there is written wrong. So it's no sugar is the word there. So if you're looking at that spelling mishap, I do know it's there. So now we're going to go into the types of intermittent fasting. So there is daily window fasting. This is kind of the most common that people tend to do. There's skipping meals. People do that. There's fasting on alternative days. And there's also 24-hour fasting. So the first one we're going to look at is 16-8, sorry. So basically you're going to be fasting for 16 hours, eating for 8. So if you stop eating by 8 p.m., your next meal is going to be around 11 or 12 in the morning the next day, right? So that's going to give you an 8-hour window. Whenever that time works for you, you've got that 8-hour window. And one of the things I really like about fasting, or flexible, I like to call it flexible fasting, or choosing whatever works for you, is you can decide when you're going to not eat. It's not There's no strict, like you have to do it this way. You really can look at what works for you. I'm going to get it. Well, I'll get into the other. I was going to say something about eating late at night. If you're somebody who really struggles with eating late at night, it's a good idea to maybe start your fast a little earlier so you can have breakfast in the morning, right? So then you're maybe that time when you're really triggered to have lots of snacks. But I'll get into that in a couple more slides. The 14-10 diet. So then, of course, you'd be consuming food fasting for 14 hours and consuming food for 10. This one kind of goes so you have a little bit more earlier in the day, right? Until 8 p.m. at night too. So there's lots of different options in which you can change the times in which you're going to eat and which you're not going to eat. It really is flexible and up to you. The 5 to 2 is eating normally 5 days a week, and 2 days of the week, you either cut your calories down to 500 or you fast. There's that idea. The men would be 600. Alternate day fasting. So you eat normally and then you're fasting every other day. So as you can kind of see, there's lots of different ways in which you can make this work for you. You can pick 1 day a week. Currently, I'm fasting right now. I fast usually every Sunday night from about 7 o'clock till about 6, 7 o'clock tonight on Monday. I find Mondays are my busy day. So I'm out and about. So I've got all my liquids here. Really easy for me to do that once a week, give my body a little bit of a break. And then flexible fasting, as I was kind of mentioning, it's like intermittent fasting that you eat during certain windows and you fast in other ones, but there's no time schedule. So for myself on Mondays, as I said, I do a 24-hour, almost 24-hour fast, but then the rest of the week, I really land in my body. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I allow myself to get hungry and then I choose to eat. I become really aware of when I'm hungry. So it's not that I'm going to a set time. It's like, oh, okay, it's 11 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock. I'm going to honor myself. I'm going to give myself some food, good, nutritious food because I'm hungry. I'm not a person who's going to be, and if you want to do the full rigid, that's totally up to you. But I find this way allows me the freedom to not, I guess I don't ever fall off because I'm really allowing myself that flexibility, right? To make this work for me in my lifestyle. So you decide how you want to organize your eating and fasting. I think I would say one more thing on this is if you had a breakfast with a bunch of friends and you're like, oh, I can't because I'm fasting. Well, no, then that day you maybe let yourself have that breakfast and then you carry on the next day, right? So really allowing yourself that freedom to live your life. So unlike intermittent fasting, is your intuition, and you become a lot more connected and aware with your body. So we're going to go over some of the benefits of fasting because there are a lot of benefits when it comes to fasting. So obviously the main one that a lot of people look at is weight loss. It's going to do something here. There we go. Is weight loss. Now, obviously it can make you eat fewer calories, unless of course you're somebody who fasts. And then during the time you're not fasting, you're eating way too much food. So it definitely can contribute to weight loss. And according to a 2014 review, using fasting technique actually reduced body weight by 3 to 8% over a period of 3 to 24 weeks. Now, that being said, another study I was looking at when they compared dieting or restrictive eating to fasting, the results are almost kind of the same for weight loss. However, the difference is with dieting, most people tend to fall off. Right? You'll fall off the wagon, you're going back in, with this, because it becomes more of a lifestyle, you can actually sustain it. So that's one of the things they're finding. So people have also experienced a 4 to 7 reduction in waist circumference. They've lost that belly fat, that visceral fat, that's one of the reasons you really want to look at fasting, because that's that not good body fat that we want. We don't want that visceral fat. My dad right now he has a diabetes, and we're working with intermittent fasting with him. And that's one thing he's really noticed around his waist is that he has lost that waist circumference. So in a fasted state, the insulin levels are low, and glucagon, and growth hormone are actually elevated. So the body starts mobilizing and using the fat from the fat cells to burn energy. And that's one of the reasons you're able to really start losing this weight. And it controls insulin. So I kind of touched on this one. As I mentioned, there's a great book that I would recommend if somebody does have diabetes by Jason Fung called The Diabetic Code, the Diabetes Code, that my dad and I are kind of looking at right now and working with him. He has type 2 diabetes. So I'm not recommending anybody, you have to talk with your doctor and make sure everything works for you. But we are looking at using intermittent fasting with my father right now. And he has type 2 diabetes. We've had great success with it. So when you're looking at fasting, what it can do is control insulin levels. So when we eat food, carbohydrates change to sugar, which is glucose, in the digestion, enters the blood, and the pancreas senses that and starts to produce insulin. So this insulin helps the sugar enter the cells and use for energy. However, If we keep eating sugar, it becomes too full. It's kind of like a bowl, right? You've overmaxed your sugar bowl. And then all of a sudden, your body starts storing that as fat. The only way to utilize energy is, the only way to utilize that without insulin is working out, if you're actually going to be exercising. So when we look at the fed state, right, when we're constantly eating, your insulin levels are high, your glucose levels are high, you're burning glucose and you're storing fats. You're actually not tapping into those reserves. But when you're in a fasted state, your insulin level starts to drop, right, because you're not continuously feeding yourself. Your glucose levels are lower. You're liberating that fat and you start utilizing the excess fat in your body for energy. So your insulin levels drop significantly. You lower the levels of insulin, which facilitate fat burning. And that's where you get that visceral fat. You start utilizing that stomach, the waist circumference fat. So intermittent fasting can reduce insulin resistance and lower blood sugar levels. So disclaimer, as I said, make sure you always talk with your doctor. But the book by Jason Fung is a really good book if you're looking for something that really addresses diabetes and also intermittent fasting. So I suggest you go out and read it. It's quite, it's a good book. So another thing it does, it retains muscle mass with fasting. So if we look at our fat up there, that lovely picture, 5 pounds of fat burns 20 calories a day, and 1 pound of fat burns 5 calories. 5 pounds of muscle burns 250 calories a day, and 1 pound of muscle burns 50 calories. So now you can understand the importance of why we really want to retain our muscle mass. We don't want to be losing weight and losing muscle, because that muscle is really going to keep our metabolism fired. So one of the worst effects of dieting is your body tends to lose muscle along with fat. However, they've shown in studies with fasting that, sorry, 1 second here, I can't see my wording there. Okay, sorry. That only 25% of the weight lost was muscle mass when it's calorie restriction, and only 10% was in fasting. So you're really able to keep that in muscle tissue. And that's important, obviously, to keep your metabolism going. Then we look at ghrelin. So ghrelin is a hormone produced in the gut, and it's kind of like the hunger hormone. So you look at our little character up there, when your stomach starts growling, that's ghrelin. I actually like to call it grenulin for some reason. I always have that word in my head, grenulin, but it's not the way you pronounce it. So it stimulates growth hormone from the pituitary gland. And so unlike ghrelin, it actually breaks down fat tissue and causes, it causes the buildup of muscle. So studies show that fasting actually leads to increased level of growth hormone. Now, growth hormone is what keeps us young, keeps our wrinkles at bay, keeps our hair from going gray. And as we get older, our growth hormone levels go down. So by tapping into fasting and allowing yourself to be hungry, you're going to increase growth hormone. So what they've shown in studies is 3 days into a fast, growth hormone levels can increase by 300%. And after a week of fasting, they increase by a massive 1,250%. Now, I'm not saying to fast for a week, but I am saying by allowing yourself to get hungry, it kicks in that growth hormone level. And growth hormone boosts muscle strength. It helps exercise performance, helps you recover from injury and disease as well. So it's another little sidekick. When you start feeling hungry, I always think, oh, I'm producing more growth hormone. It also reduces oxidative stress, damage, inflammation, and aging. So oxidative stress is one of the steps towards aging and many, many chronic diseases. So when we are fasting, what it does, it actually requires the cells to use energy like those fatty acids we were talking about. So it causes the cells to turn on a revival process and removes the unhealthy mitochondria and replaces them with healthy ones. So it reduces the production of free radicals. So this also triggers a metabolic pathway called atrophy, which removes waste materials from the cell. So it makes your cells younger and more capable and slows down aging. So really looking at how we can preserve and take care of ourselves, reduce those free radical damage. Free radical can come from stress, the food we eat, the synthetic, skin cares and all those different things. Those can all contribute to oxidative stress. It's one of the reasons why we have greens and take all these wonderful products that we take for supplementation. But by fasting, you can also turn that back too. It improves brain health. So it improves various methods of metabolic features that are important to the brain, and it increases levels of the brain hormone neurotrophic factor, so BDNF, and helps the brain make new connections. So it repairs the brain's failing cells and protects the brain cells as well. So it actually can protect against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So really looking at how your body is able to tap into the fat, and also helps improve your brain health as well. Heart disease, as we know, heart disease is the world's biggest killer. And 4 of the major risks of heart disease are blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, and weight. So intermittent fasting has shown to prove numerous risk factors. So it helps with blood pressure, LDL and cholesterol, blood triglycerides, inflammatory markers, and blood sugar levels, as we were talking about with insulin. So it really can help heart health as well. So we're looking at the benefits of fasting in a whole. It enhances insulin sensitivity, fights inflammation, it promotes heart health, supports cognitive function, and boosts weight loss as well. And the next question really is intermittent fasting for you? So if you have a history of disordered eating, once you break fast, do you binge? Kind of what we're talking about there, like, are you preoccupied with food the whole entire time you're fasting? Are you experiencing hormonal issues? What we know is if you are experiencing a lot of hormonal issues, it does cause more stress on the body. So although intermittent fasting could be used, I highly suggest working with somebody, a naturopath, that can really help guide you through that to make sure you're making the right steps. And also too, if you're in a stressful period of your life, as I said, it causes stress on the body too. If you're on medications, to really make sure you consult with your doctor. So one of the reasons it could be good for you is you have a healthy relationship with food. You can control your eating after you break fast. You feel sharper and more productive during a fast. I know I do. You're in good health and you have stress. When you have stress, I think we all are stressed, but you have management when it comes to stress levels. So when we think about our hunger, when we think about our day-to-day, do you connect with your hunger normally? I'm going to open up the chat so we can actually so I can hear people, what they say about this one. When you think about day-to-day, do you actually connect to your hunger or do you just kind of eat? I'll be going over the best foods as well. So anybody want to, do you guys connect to your hunger when you're hungry? You just kind of eat? You can kind of go in the chat and say yes or no. Anybody wants to share if they do actually connect to your hunger? I think a lot of people tend not to for the most part. Good, you connect to your hunger. Good. Okay, no, yeah. Appreciation, yeah. Good, connecting to, yeah. Good, thank you, that's great. Thank you for sharing, everybody. So eating when you're hungry is when you feel hungry. Also, I want to reiterate this too, especially when it comes to fasting, because we can feel like, oh, I broke fast, I'm such a failure. That's why flexible fasting is great, because if you're hungry, you're honoring that feeling within you. You're saying, oh, I'm creating growth hormone right now because my grenulin's kicking in. This is all good. And I'm going to honor and I'm going to eat something that's nutritious for my body, that my body can utilize to give me the results I want. So I want to really emphasize that if you're somebody who broke a fast too early, there is no flexible fasting gives you that ability to do that when you need to. So if we all close our eyes and just connect with our bodies between 1 and 10, where is everybody on the hunger scale right now? Like, I think I'm around, it's 9 a.m. here. I'm probably around maybe a 4. I'm not that hungry. 2, 6. Some of you might have eaten lunch. 8, 6. Okay, 7. Good. Okay, there we are. We're connecting a little bit to our hunger, paying attention to that. You're breaking fast now. Nice. Didn't yet, just coffee. Yeah, I've got my greens and tea. 3. Okay, awesome. Awesome. 9. You're hungry. All right. So when we look at hunger, hunger is our body's physical response to need for food, and appetite is more of a desire. So looking at how we can differentiate between those two, right? And we've been programmed, if we think about it, that hunger is a negative thing that needs to be fixed right away. Oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat right away. However, learning to connect to your hunger actually supports healthy hormone rhythms. It helps you tune into what your body really needs. And it also can give you the ability to be more mindful when you're eating, to taste your food, to take a second, to be more present. So allowing yourself to connect to it and be okay with it, and not punish, like not be like, oh my God, I need to fix this thing right away. It's not about that. It's really about being able to connect to your hunger and be okay with being hungry. And then when you eat, of course, you're going to honor yourself and give yourself the ability to eat something nutritious. So I talked a little bit earlier about this, but when is your snack time? Anybody? Like mine, I'm more of a person who's home at night. So I'll tend to snack at night. Mid-afternoon snack time. Okay. 3 p.m. Interesting. 3 p.m. Afternoons here. Late afternoon. Got lots of afternoons here. Evenings. Evenings too. Before dinner. 4 p.m. Late afternoon. lots of late afternoons, which would be actually good if you're doing the fasting, having the afternoon, because you get to that being in your fasting window. Because the nice thing, especially if you're an evening snacker and it's something you really struggle with, is snacking too much at night, is bringing your fast in to start after dinner, because you can, of course, move this around however which way you want. So if you find at night after 7 o'clock, you're standing in front of your fridge, making sure that light's on over and over and over again, you can start your fast around 7. You've had your food, you've eaten your dinner, and start changing that. And then what that's going to do is change that habit of snacking at night, and you can start your breakfast earlier in the day. So by doing that, you can adjust it and also look at those habits you have of when you're standing there just mindlessly eating, and address those, and using fasting as a way to kind of bring more mindfulness to the fact you don't need to be eating constantly, right? To giving yourself a little bit of a break. So it's one of the things I really like with using with flexible fasting too. And if you're snacking in the afternoon, well, that's probably in your eating window. So you're good, as long as you're eating good, healthy food, which we're going to go over. So looking at fasting, intuitive and mindful eating, and how these all connect. Why am I eating? Okay, I'm hungry. I realize I'm hungry. When am I eating? And what do I want to eat? And big important, what am I eating? How am I honoring my body by giving my body good, healthy food? You know, if you're fasting and then you're driving through a fast food window and eating a bunch of fries and onion rings and milkshake, that's kind of defeating the purpose of it all. Not that there's not a place for having some, fast food every now and then if you really want some, but in how do I eat? Am I present with my food? Am I chewing my food? Am I tasting my food? Am I taking my time with it? I think about when I go out to a really great restaurant and you have that beautiful dish that's brought to you, and you just take that first bite and you savor, like, oh, it's so good. And you get your partner, oh my gosh, you got to take a bite of this. You both like savor it, bringing that more to what your eating habits are. So you're really able to connect with what you're eating and give thanks for it as well. How much am I eating? Right? Are you eating your plate full? Or one of the things I really had to stop doing is when I'm cooking for my daughter, I'll probably eat a whole entire meal before I cook for my daughter, then I sit down with her and eat. So really trying to practice being mindful about just kind of snacking the whole entire time before I'm eating. And then where do I invest my energy to? So you're not obsessing about this all the time, but really able to let that go and land in a place in your body where you're supporting your body with good, healthy, nutritious food. All right, so just kind of a recap on what we just talked about. One of the reasons I really do enjoy fasting is letting go of that all or nothing mentality, because you're not restricting, you're not letting yourself have something. It becomes more of a lifestyle. It's not a diet, quote unquote. Gives your digestive system a bit of a break. I know that's one of the benefits I didn't talk about, but it really does give your digestive system a moment to just take a breath. Constantly eating is also stressful on the body too. So giving your body ability just to use its resources that it has. It can help with weight loss. It controls insulin levels as well. It helps you retain muscle, helps with heart health, with growth hormone, as we talked about that, reduces oxidative stress. And of course, learning to connect with that hunger cue, understanding what it's like to be hungry, and then also creating mindfulness around your food choices going forward. I think one of the other things when they look at people who lose weight when they're fasting is because when you actually do eat, you're far more aware of what you're eating. You're far more in tune of how you want to support your body with good, nutritious food. You didn't just go through a 24-hour fast for the most part to go eat a bunch of crappy food. You want to support your body by giving your body really good, nutritious food to give you the results you want. So next, we're talking about nutrition, one of my favorite topics. So first, before we do that, because it's kind of the segue, what to have in a fast, since we're talking about nutrition. If you're somebody who's looking at doing fast, so like right now, for example, I've got my tea, I've got my water, I've got my greens. I have greens when I am fasting. I'm fine with that because they have stevia in them. So there's no sugar bump there. When I'm on the road driving, I actually have my little lunch pail and I have all my liquids in there that I want to drink throughout the day. So really supporting myself by being prepared for this, that I have stuff to drink. So water, of course, is great. Plain or carbonated water has no calories. And this is also another thing that I want to point out. This is totally up to you what works for you. Some people don't want to have greens to their fasting. That doesn't work if they don't believe in it, they don't want to do it. That's fine. Some people want just black coffee, won't put a stevia in it. So it really gives you an option. You can totally do what you want. You want to really keep those. You don't have any calories. You want to have high calories or high sugar drinks, obviously, but you really can make a choice between some of these things. So you can have coffee and tea. I choose to put a stevia in my tea, but I'm okay with it. So you can have apple cider vinegar you can take lemon water, greens as well. I said it's low in sugar. The one that I'm drinking creates alkalinity. It also prevents cravings, and I really enjoy the taste. You can do bone broth as well if you like that. My dad, I have him on a little BCAAs as well, amino acids to prevent with muscle breakdown. So there's different things like that you can look at, that you incorporate, that you can be drinking during your fast in the morning, or if you choose to fast all day. So now we're going to get into when you break in your fast, the foods you want to support your body with, that you want to eat on a day-to-day basis. And I love this saying, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So now I've got some of you might know this quiz. Get your keyboards ready, because you have a chance to win a prize from Aeryon Wellness. So the question is going to be, I'm going to open the chat. So it says here, you can't look like this without the proper macros, Brian. Of course, Brian and Stewie there. So what are macros? The first person to answer will win a prize from Aeryon Wellness. Oh, no, I need all three. What are all three macros? Oh, okay. Patricia Kirsch, you've won. Patricia Kirsch. Okay, I will figure out a way. Natasha, can she message you? Is that how she can do it? Or we can figure out a way to get her. Okay. And I'll be sending you a gift pack. So congratulations, you won. Yes, you guys are right. Protein, fats, and carbs are your macro groups. And then the micronutrients, of course, are your multivitamins and whatnot, and your greens and those kind of things. But so we're going to get into the macronutrients, your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. So protein. I cannot emphasize this enough. Most people do not have enough protein in their day-to-day diet, good quality lean protein. It stabilizes blood sugar levels. It improves fat burning. It stimulates muscle building. As we talked about earlier, we want to make sure we have that lean muscle tissue to keep our metabolism going, helps with learning and memory, promotes a positive mood, good for heart health, improves bone density, slows down aging. Protein is super important, and we're making sure we're getting protein with every meal that we have. So proteins are made of chemical blocks of amino acid, and your body uses these amino acids to build and repair and to make hormones and enzymes as well. So as I said, it creates that lean muscle tissue and keeps your metabolism revving, which is what we all want to do. We want to have that lean muscle tissue. So I have a little, move this up so I can see it. Okay. So I have a chart here in which you can figure out how much protein you should be having on a day-to-day basis, because I think a lot of people are not sure how much they should be having. So what you're required is, or what the recommended requirement is 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram. So if you are 150 pounds, you can do the equation very easily. You can Google and find out how much is I don't weigh myself anymore. So I tend to, let's just pretend I'm 150. So if I'm 150 pounds in kilograms, that works out to 70.3. So you can screenshot this if you like as well, if you want to figure out how much protein you have. If I'm going to times that by 0.08, so that's the lower, I tend to do times 1 because I'm fairly active. It gives me 56 grams of protein a day, which I'm going to divide in my non-fasting times, and that's what I'm going to make sure I have. Because I tend to do 1, I'd have about 70 grams of protein a day, divide that between the meals that I'm having when I'm not fasting, making sure I'm having that good amount of protein every single day. It also is responsible for your immune system, their immune system powerhouses as well. So we obviously want to really take care in making sure that we're having protein on a day-to-day basis. Now, not all protein is the same. So want to make sure we're having good quality protein, grass-fed chicken or beef. With grass-fed, one of the things I want to point out with the beef is if you're having grass-fed beef, they're higher in omega-3s. So we tend to have an overabundance of omega-6s in our diet, which is what can tend to lead to heart issues. So you want to make sure you're having high omega-3s. Now, I do understand it is more expensive, but if you can, and if you have certain circumstances, we can buy more grass-fed, I would definitely suggest grass-fed. It's going to be higher in omega-3s for you. Wild fish, lentils, eggs, chickpeas, spirulina is a great source. Chlorella is a great source. Tofu, whey, and then vegan protein as well. We got rice, hemp, etc. Looking for a good protein, like a whey protein, I always tend to do in New Zealand because the cows are grass-fed and they're on the pasture. They're going to walk around and be a cow, which is what I want them to do. So really looking at getting yourself a good quality source of protein and having that. So next, we're going to talk about fats, making sure you're getting those good fats, of course, right? You want to balance your hormones out. It helps with heart health. It regulates your body temperature. It helps you absorb vitamin A, D, E, and K. It's brain support, boosts your immune system, helps with joint support, stabilizes your blood sugar, detoxifies your body, and they're also anti-inflammatory as well. So looking at having some great nuts in your diet, I tend to have a higher fat, I tend to do lower carbohydrates. I feel better on that. And that's another thing too, you have to do what feels good for you, but I feel a little better when I have a lower carbohydrate. I have lots of starchy, but I have higher fat. So I'll have nuts and I'll have salmon minimum once a week. We use olive oil on our salad dressing, avocado, losing all these really good healthy fats as well. Some sources of fat. Sorry, I forgot about the slide. So we have nuts and seeds and avocado and olive oil and coconut oil, which regulates the body's response to insulin as well. Your body uses coconut oil. It's a medium chain triglyceride more as an energy source than it does a fat. Fish oil, flax oil, grass-fed butter, and then of course, cheeses too. So looking at those really good omega-3s fats. So carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates definitely have a place. I know they've been getting a really bad rap throughout the years. I do tend to have a lower carbohydrate diet because I feel better on higher fats and proteins, but carbs are really important. They provide energy and fiber. Being regular is very, very important. Helps us sleep, uplifts your mood, improves your digestive system, provides vitamins and phytonutrients as well. So some examples of healthy carbohydrates, if you're going to be having carbs, is those fibrous vegetables, Brussels sprouts, and making yourself that big, beautiful salads. Here in Vancouver, the birds are singing and we're beginning to get a little bit lighter and it's nicer out. I always crave salads in the summertime. So now is the chance to start making up those big, beautiful, glorious salads. And I can have as much salad as I want. And I usually put a good protein on top with a olive oil and balsamic vinegar, a really nice, great salad. So salads, have at her. So really looking at those fibrous vegetables. That's also going to keep you regular too. Fruit is a carbohydrate. A lot of people don't know this. So you want to really look at how much fruit you're having. I remember I met a lady years ago at a talk and she was struggling with her weight. And she said, I make a protein smoothie every morning. And when she told me she put, I think it was like 2 bananas, like strawberries, blueberries, a tablespoon or 2 of peanut butter, like almond oil. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, we need to like pick a berry, do one, like, so just either a half a banana and some blueberries. So really fruits are carbohydrates. So you really want to make sure you're paying attention to that. So you want to enjoy your fruits, but just remember, everything does add up in the end too, right? So even if you are fasting, starchy vegetables as well. So I love me some sweet potatoes as well in the winter months. Carrots, carrot a day is great for hormone health as well. Beets, pumpkin, turnip, if I could say that word. And then of course your grains and the beans. So looking at those whole grain foods that you want to have, those breads that you want to have that are going to keep you fuller and give you more fiber. And also then of course help you be regular too. So carbs are a really important part of the diet as well. So we don't want to remove those. We just want to make sure you're making better choices. And fermented foods. So gut health is also something that's really important. 80% of your immune system is in the gut. Your gut is your second brain. A lot of people don't know this. It's so important that we're really taking care of our gut health. So if you have gas or bloating or constipation, that is not something that you want to have on a regular basis. So some things you could be looking at is having kefir, tempeh, sauerkraut is a really easy thing to make. And also you can have that as well on a day-to-day, just put that with a little bit of your food. Apple cider vinegar, of course, helps as well too. Probiotics help as well. And poor gut health actually can increase levels of estrogen as well, because your body's not able to detoxify and remove those estrogen from your system. And that can also lead to PCOS and endometriosis and even breast cancer if your body's not able to, of course, get rid of all the excess estrogen that's in your body. Another thing, if you're looking at a good enzyme, if you're having issues with gas, bloating, and constipation, a good enzyme is another idea. There's a company called Prairie Naturals, and they have a product called Enzyme Force that I highly recommend. If you are somebody who has had your gallbladder removed, you need to be taking an ox bile supplement. Please get on Bile Force. Bile Force is an amazing product. It's going to help your body break down fats more efficiently. A lot of the time when you leave the hospital after this operation, they do not tell patients that they need to begin on ox bile to support you. So please take a look at Bile Force or go in and talk to one of the ladies over at, or men, sorry, at the Natural Food Pantry that will gladly have a conversation with you about that and the importance of having an enzyme. So those are some of the things you can look when it comes to fermented food. So I did mention superfoods. I'm a huge green fan, like huge. I've been taking greens my whole entire life. So superfoods are that nutrient dense food. So large doses of the antioxidants, the polyphenols, and the vitamins, the minerals like goji and turmeric. I'm not sure a lot of people are familiar with turmeric. You got kale, spirulina, chlorella, moringa. It reduces the risk of disease. It creates more alkalinity in the body. We don't want to be acidic. We want to be more alkaline. Promotes good, healthy gut microbes that we talked about earlier, especially if it's fermented. It can energize and boost stamina, protects cellular health, reduces inflammation. Inflammation is also a precursor to many, many diseases that are going on. Prevents fat oxidation, helps with eye health, slows aging. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? Really. So that's greens and superfoods are incredible. And I had mentioned that I do take a greens, and one of the greens I do take is from Prairie Naturals. It's Superfoods right here, and I really like this product. It has 20 fermented and organic. That's one of the things I really like about it. Fermented and organic, so it's going to give you that good gut health. It's more absorbable by your body, and it's organic. So it reduces by fermenting, it reduces the sugar content and improves the mineral and antioxidant bioavailability. It's got what do we got in here? Alfalfa, kale, wheatgrass, oatgrass. I've got fermented maca, turmeric, and beet. So you can just, I don't know if you can see the greens right there. So it's 1 scoop. You just put that in your water bottle and shake it up. Super simple. I use this during my fast. But one of the reasons I also like this too, it has a mushroom blend. So it's got a really cool mushroom blend with king trumpet and turkey tail and cordyceps. You got organic spirulina and chlorella. I talked about that in the protein section. Moringa helps with immune health as well. Blueberry, it's vegan, non-GMO, soy-free, gluten-free. I really like the taste, the light blueberry taste. I know greens can be very scary. I've tasted some really horrible greens in my day, but this one's really nice and light flavor. So, and it's also Canadian, so that's a nice one too. So I just make it up in my little thing here with water and ice, and I'll drink this throughout the course of the day. So I'm always having greens. Really important. That's something you can do for those who kind of mentioned at 3 o'clock, they have that like dip or they're kind of hungry. Awesome thing to have it around 3 o'clock is your scoop of greens. So I'm a big fan of greens. So now we're going to kind of touch base on supplementation. So we're kind of getting towards the end. So one of the supplements that I created in my product line is called Lose It, and it's a metabolism support product. And one of the benefits of Lose It that I really like is it actually helps stay in a fasting mode. I've had countless feedback of people who use intermittent fasting who really do enjoy using Lose It for this purpose. But Lose It really helps with weight loss plateaus, hormonal imbalance, that weight around the midsection we're talking about. It works really well in combination with fasting. Helps if you have low energy, and also too with slow metabolism as well. So when we look at some of the ingredients in Lose It, which is right here, I take one every morning. I only take one. That's it. I don't take 2 or 3. You can take 2 or 3 if you want to. I take one every morning as kind of like my morning coffee before I go do my movement. I move every morning. Some of those habits, making sure I have those habits every day. I move every day, whether it be a walk or down the gym. I take one. It's kind of like a little pre-workout, kicks me in gear. It's about 1.5 cups of coffee. So you're not overstimulated. You feel really fantastic. And my 67-year-old mom, takes one before she plays pickleball. So it really can be for anybody. And she absolutely loves the product just for pickleball. So I'll explain some of the ingredients in here and how you can utilize this for if you are starting to do some intermittent fasting, if you're looking at having something to support you as well. So we have indole-3 carbinol in here. One of the reasons we put the indole-3 carbinol in here, it actually prevents estrogen-dependent cancers. It's found in the broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, all those things we kind of talked about. It balances estrogen in the body. So what we know is when we have excess estrogen in the body, it leads to excess fat in the body as well. So it supports the liver in the detoxification of estrogen. Then we've added red pepper extract. There's studies showing people who have red pepper extract, it increases levels of fullness. It works as a metabolism support and also an appetite suppressant, and increases the heat within the body in which the body's burning calories. Then, as I said, we have caffeine. There is just 1.5 cups of coffee in caffeine. We've added L-carnitine as well. So it's an amino acid. This helps in metabolism, also helps prevent muscle fatigue, and also improves recovery time. So I can speak there. Then we have green tea extract. We have removed the caffeine from this extract, and we're using it for theanine. So theanine helps with cortisol. We talked a bit about stress. When you have higher levels of stress, your body's not going to be as inclined to let go of the fat as easy. So you really want to make sure that your stress levels aren't through the roof. But what it does, it actually helps with reducing the levels of cortisol your body's releasing, and also helps reduce estrogen as well. Then we have olive leaf. Olive leaf also reduces appetite and supports weight loss. And then last but not least, we have B12, and that boosts the metabolism, helps with cellular energy, supports the adrenal glands, and also supports the nervous system too. So with the Lose It product, all in all, increases energy. It's an exercise enhancer, great pre-workout, helps with hormonal balance, helps with recovery, helps with fat loss support. It's low stimulant and decreases appetite. And it's a really nice little tie-in if it's something that you want to try with intermittent fasting. You're looking for something to keep you in the fast longer. We've had rave reviews on that for people who actually apply intermittent fasting with it. And on the front of every Aeryon Wellness product, we have a little QR code. So in December, I was featured on Dragon's Den, and we had 3 offers on Dragon's Den. I accepted one with Arlene Dickinson. And so on the front, and how I got on the show is using these QR codes. So what's different with our product line is when you scan these QR codes, when you're in the store, it leads you to a 30 to 60 second video explaining the product. With Lose It, you get, with every product, you get 2 free meal plans. You also get information on weight management, toxins and weight management, hydration and stress and mindful eating tips. You get a breakdown of the ingredients, plus you get workouts as well. So when I look at my kind of mantra for the business of empowering women with holistic health, I don't believe it's just a magic pill. So if you're thinking of just taking this and everything's going to be hunky-dory, I will be honest with you, that's, you're not going to drop a ton of weight just from taking a product. But if you can put all of these things into play together and use some of the tips and tools we have in the QR codes, you really can find sustainable health and wellness. And we do that with every single product that we have. So some extra tips I'm going to throw in here as we wrap up. So when we are not fasting, we still want to really remember the 80-20 rule. And I think I don't like to live in a land of restriction anymore. And so I have an 80-20 rule. My 80% of the time is during the week. I eat really great during the week. The weekends, I want to have popcorn and I want to have some nibs and I want to have some sweets and I might want an ice cream. And so I allow myself that 20%. I don't go to 80% of eating crappy food, but I give myself that 20%. I allow myself that flexibility and I allow myself permission to enjoy things if I want to. I don't live in a rigid world anymore when it comes to my food. And I think that's really important, especially if you're going to be applying flexible fasting. If you want to have a cookie, right? But don't eat the whole entire box of cookies. That's what you want to kind of get away from. Exercise. We have to move our bodies. This is the one glorious body that we get, and we want to make sure we're utilizing it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a gym. Find something you like, whether it be going for a walk with your dog or meeting up with a friend, but moving this body that you get. We have to remember to move our bodies. There's so many things we can do at home with bands. You can grab a couple bands and do workouts. You can, do some exercises when you're on a Zoom call, do some push-ups off the wall every time you go to the bathroom, whatever it is for you. If you're going to sit down to watch TV, make yourself get up and down 10 times, little squats, right? Get yourself moving your body, making sure you're doing weight bearing exercises as well. You want to do 10 minutes or you want to do 30 minutes a day. And if that's a challenge, break it into 10. So do 10 minutes 3 times a day. And as the summer and spring start kicking in, join a challenge, have a group of friends, get that support network. That, number 2 pillar of our business is the friends you keep, the environment you keep. Find somebody to keep you accountable that you're going to go for a walk for, that you're going to really take care of your body every day. And then reducing your sugar. So we talked about insulin earlier, but we really need to understand how detrimental sugar is to our health. It accelerates aging. It puts us at risk for obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. And it really can decrease your immunity as well. So really paying attention to the sugar and the sweets that we have, the processed foods that we have. We want to stick as close as we possibly can to real foods. If you're craving sweets, have an apple. Try to have more real natural food. If there's a bunch of ingredients on that panel that you cannot pronounce, it's probably not. It's probably a processed food that's not that good for you, right? So, and some stevia, if you do have a sweet tooth, because I do myself, there's Sweet Monk, there's stevia, there's xylitol, there's some sweeteners you can use that if you want to, you can really kind of take care of that sweet tooth for yourself. So some of the takeaway lessons we had today was kind of going over fasting 101. I gave you some examples of the different time fasts you can do and how you can create your own flexibility around this. If you're somebody who wants to fast for 6 or 8 hours, or you just purely want to rely on, okay, I'm hungry now, but I know that after dinner, I tend to want to snack nonstop. So I'm going to stop eating at 7 because I know I've got enough food in my body. You can really have that ability to design what you need to with this. And that's kind of the idea behind it. So some of the benefits of fasting, what we do know, it can help with weight loss. It can control insulin, it helps with growth hormone, reduces oxidative stress, improves brain health, heart health, anti-aging, gives your digestive system a little bit of a break. Looking at, is this for me? Is this somebody that I can make this work in my life? Then starting to create winning choices when you're not fasting. We also are handing out a flexible fasting menu guide that you guys should be getting as well. which will come. Yeah. Okay. That's coming too. So just some really great menu ideas there too. Looking at having those ones have a little bit lesser carbohydrate scale, but really good, healthy fats, nice salads, all those kind of things. Supplement when needed. So I would love everybody to buy supplements. That would be great. But at the same time, I want to make sure you're applying these habits to make the changes. So then the supplements are actually there to do their job and to help you out on your journey. Reduce your sugar. And last but not least, I didn't have the slide for this one, but be kind to yourself. I think we're in a society right now where we want our results like this. I know I can be guilty of that too. And we really have to be kind to ourselves and compassionate towards ourselves and give ourselves the space and the time to make changes. It doesn't happen overnight. Use a plan to kickstart. As I said, we got the flexible planning. And the last thing is, what do you want your story to be? I knew my story with my daughter. I really wanted to create a healthier version of myself. I want to be an example for her, to be able to see that health and wellness is not restriction, that nutrition and food is your friend and movement is your friend, and to really connect to your body. And that's been a real goal of mine with not only my own personal life at home, but also through my business and the example that we're leading right now with Aeryon Wellness. So this is like a little example of some of the flexible fasting meal plans you're going to get. So it has all the recipes, it has a weekly planner. So really looking at ways we can support you. This is also an example of the meal plans that are in every single QR code on Aeryon Wellness. And they all are varying based on what product that you're looking at. So today we have a special offer for you from Natural Food Pantry online. So you're going to get 15% off. You can go to Aeryon 15, you get 15% off Lose It. Or all the Aeryon Wellness products, I think, if you wanted them. We have hormonal support products, stress support products. If you're somebody who's struggling with sleep, Sleeping Beauty is amazing. It's like a tea you can drink before you go to bed. I had it last night, had a great night's sleep. So Sleeping Beauty is also one of them too. And as to wrap it up, Aeryon Wellness is a female-founded company. We are 100% women-owned. A portion of every bottle sold from the net profits is donated to Downtown Eastside Women's Shelter here in Vancouver. I'm very proud of that. And we are proudly Canadian as well. So I'm going to open it up to questions. I should go in the chat here because I saw.
Erin, before you do, I just wanted to interrupt for a second and just
Yes.
clarify for the discount, everyone.
Sure.
It's the online store only. So if you're interested in applying the discount to any of the Aeryon products, just go onto the Natural Food Pantry website, naturalfoodpantry.ca, and use the promo code Aeryon 15 at all uppercase at the checkout. I'll also send that out by email with the follow-up email and the recording.
I'll go back to it, but okay, I'll go back to it. I'll go back. There we go. And I'll just do the questions from here. So we do have some questions. Proteins equal nuts. So there is some protein in nuts, but you really want to make sure you're actually getting probably a really great source of protein, be it fish, be it lean meat, be it whey. I'm a big whey girl. Love a smoothie, especially now that it's getting nicer out. I have a hard time having smoothies in the winter, but now that it's getting summery out, I'm all about the smoothies. So you really want to make sure having there is a little bit in the nuts, but protein is definitely a different. You want more of a solid protein. Is spirulina recommended for people with active autoimmune disease? I would actually, with anything, especially with supplementation, I would talk to your doctor and make sure it's something you can take. I wouldn't think there'd be an issue, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to say yes. And then if there were something, so you probably want to talk to your doctor about that or look at particularly what your case is and if that works for you. But I don't think it would be an issue. So spirulina is actually, it's a green, but it's sourced from the sea, if I'm correct on that one. Yes, I should know. I'm like, I do know
seaweed. Yes.
Yes, it's a seaweed. I'm like going blank here for a second. So it is a seaweed, and it does have all the amino acids and complete protein. It's very green. So it is in the superfoods. And if you have it, if I'm honest with you, if you have it on your own, it's very green. So you have to really like greens if you're taking some of these on their own. And Prairie does have them on their own too, if you just want the spirulina. But with the superfoods, it has this nice blueberry taste, it's a little more palatable, unless you're a diehard greens person. And I love greens, and I don't just drink spirulina on its own. And it is gluten-free. Yes, the spirulina one. Can somebody who has hypothyroid issues, lowers your metabolism, take that supplement? Again, I would talk to your doctor. That would be kind of beyond my scope. I wouldn't want to recommend you take something and then something happens and maybe it doesn't work for you or it causes any harm in any way. So I would definitely talk to your practitioner about that. So honey maple syrup, that is sugar, that is glucose, that is going to spike your insulin levels. So if you can't, if you're not using lots, but if you're somebody who's really loving the honey, and I know honey is good for you and does have benefits, just really look at how much or be attentive to how much you are having. That's the one thing I would say. And there are some really great natural sweeteners out there too. You can, yeah, maple syrup, you can use it as a sweetener. Just depends. You want to make sure you're not using too much of it because it's going to spike your insulin levels. Where's my little mouse? My mouse is, I can't, oh, I'm not even on the thing. There we go. We were tested on men's health. So men can take some of the products. I mean, they probably wouldn't be taking some of the hormone products. You probably could if you found you had a higher estrogen levels and you want to have some sort of detoxification. But the lose it is fine. And in the sense of testing on men, my boyfriend takes it, my brother takes it, and they love it. So, but nothing's wrong with a man taking Lose It or Water Be Gone or any of the products that I have. Why is popcorn bad? I don't think popcorn's bad. I like to have lots of butter on my popcorn. So it's the way I prepare my popcorn. And when I have my popcorn, I have some M&Ms and I have some nibs. It's a whole thing. So that's why. So popcorn's not bad. So if you want to have some popcorn at night, by all means, go for it. If you want to have popcorn and a snack, I wasn't meaning to vilify popcorn, just probably the way I have it, which is a lot of butter. So that's more so the reason why it's popcorn. And dried fruits. You can have dried fruits, but the problem is that it's really high in sugar as well. I know my dad, because right now we're really working on his diabetes and trying to get things under check. And we are using intermittent fasting right now. It's working for him. As I said, make sure you talk to your doctor about this, but it is working for him. We're using the Jason Fung method, but he had raisins and he had like 4 packs of raisins and his blood sugar was just like his machine was beeping and didn't even show a number. He was like, I don't think I should be having raisins, right? So it really does affect your sugar levels in your body. So that's the one thing with dried fruit. But I think if you're somebody who's not dealing with anything diabetes wise, you want to have that as a snack with some nuts. And that would be another reason too, why you would have that with maybe some fats that would maybe help balance the sugar levels off a little bit. Or if you're going to have some dried fruit, have maybe a little bit of protein with that in some way, because that can help stabilize a little bit of the blood sugar as well. And do superfoods have sugar? Some might, most of them don't this day and age. Most of them use stevia. I don't think I've seen a superfood or I thought you meant like this one. This one has no sugar in it, but I haven't seen any like greens products on the market ever really that have sugar.
None of the greens at Natural Food Pantry have sugar in them. They're all sweetened with stevia or some kind of natural alternative sweetener.
Yeah, and it really
quite a few good ones.
There's some great ones. And if you don't like this one, find one that works for you. As I said, every day I take my greens. It really provides me the energy I need. And I cannot say enough about greens. So we have 2 products that balances hormones. So we have Reset. So Reset is kind of our hormone detox, but what Reset was really designed for post-hormonal birth control detox. So somebody who is coming off the birth control pill and looking for support. I was on the pill for, from when I was like 14 to like 30 something. And when I got off, my hormones were just a complete mess. And so at the time, I wish there was something that had supported me during that time. And that's really what we made Reset for. So it helps with balancing estrogen and progesterone. It also supports the liver to help with estrogen detoxify estrogen out of the system. And then we also have NAC in there too for immune health. And we have the Bs in there, the B6 methylated folate, which is B9, and also B12. It also can help with cycle regularity. So if your cycles are off, it's a great one for that. Reclaim is, I'm not supposed to have a favorite child, but Reclaim would be my favorite child. Phenomenal for perimenopause. I'm in perimenopause right now. It's a 1 a day. You can take 2 if you really need to, but it is phenomenal for that, for mood and everything. So mood, hormonal balance, and also immune health too is what we have with Reclaim. I think it's the most comprehensive product in the market today. And for inflammation, I would look at putting your fish oils in there. You want to make sure you have high omega-3s, really looking at your diet and what you're eating. Are you eating inflammatory foods? Sometimes dairy can tend to be quite inflammatory for most people. Gluten can be inflammatory. So really paying attention to what food you're consuming, because that can really lead to inflammation in the body. So that'd be my first thing I would say, is to look at what you're eating, opposed to just trying to supplement it. Because if we look at the order, thoughts you think, the friends you keep, all those things, really looking at nutrition first, making sure you're moving your body, sweating every day, taking care of yourself. And then you can add some excellent supplementation. And I'm sure Natural Food Pantry has tons of great products there that can help you address with inflammation as well, especially a great omega-3. Yes, it does make fabulous in with a smoothie. And I think that's it. Recommended time. Yeah. You can take Lose It for, I've been taking it for a long time. I take one every morning though as my pre-workout, so it might be a little bit different, but we usually say about 60 days to take it, and then give yourself a little bit of a break right? 60 and 90 days, give yourself a break. But I have some people who take, like I myself, I take one every morning before I go to the gym. And it's more like my coffee pre-workout, because I don't like the sugary pre-workout drinks. That's how I utilize the product. So how can fasting help and hinder migraines? Well, that's a question. I actually don't know the answer to that one. I don't know if it can. I think everybody would be quite individual on that aspect, because I don't really know what the cause of the migraine would be from. So I haven't seen anything. I could see if there's any research on that and answer that and get back to Natasha, but I think it would probably just depend personally on what the migraines are really stemming from. Would that be an answer? What do you think, Natasha?
Yeah, maybe if it's hormone related, the fasting might help, but I imagine for some people it might aggravate headaches and migraines too. So you'd have to experiment and see. Yeah.
Experiment and see.
I was actually going to ask you about some people, I know some people when they do a fast, especially if they're new to it, they hit that place where they do feel kind of hypoglycemic and fatigued and headachy. I don't know if it's part of detox or if it's because fasting can also put somebody into a bit of a detox, right? It can support detoxification. So I don't know. I know for myself, if that happens to me, occasionally that'll happen to me. And if I push through, there's like maybe a half-hour window and then I feel amazing.
Yeah.
So just wanted to get your 2 cents on that, for those people that experience that little bit of a drop when they first start with fasting.
Well, I think it's normal. I think, especially too, because when we think about what we think about fasting, we think about, I'm hungry and I need to eat, and that can kind of preoccupy your mind, right? Instead of allowing yourself to be like, no, this is actually good for me. And you can feel a little bit depleted, but I find I'm the same thing. Like if I've kind of felt that, like today is my 24-hour fast. If I feel a little bit of that, I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like I am not withering away to nothing.
And often the greens or the apple cider vinegar or something will get you through too. That'll help.
Yeah. So making sure that you are prepared and that you have like your greens and your water and some tea and
keeping hydrated.
Staying hydrated, right? I mean,
breathing.
I don't recommend doing super long extended fasts. That's not my take on things. And so if you're somebody doing those, then obviously you want to be medically supervised, and that'd be a whole other conversation. But if you can push through, and if you are and if you're just like, I just can't do this, even if you try that half hour and it's still, then by all means, then have something. Have some nuts, have something, have more fats and protein. That's how I usually break my fast and proteins. I don't do carbohydrates right away. Fats and proteins. I'll, keep it lower on the carbohydrate scale, have a great salad, can give your body something. But if you're out and don't grab a burger and a milkshake, like, okay, hold on, I'm not using, this is not restrictive. I can eat, but so if you are feeling really, really horrible, then allow yourself something. And then if you try it the next time, then go a little bit longer and go a little bit longer. And then you're kind of training your body, right, to get a little bit more used to it, I would think too.
Yeah. I have another question about the 5-2 model or any kind of variation of that, where people eat regularly some days and then take a couple days to fast throughout the week. So what is your advice around best days, like what days to choose to fast? Do you recommend that people who have some days that are higher active, do you recommend avoiding the fast on those days or fasting on those days? I know you said Mondays are really busy for you, so it's a really convenient day to fast. You don't have to think about cooking.
Yeah. The bonus for fasting too is you're not having to prepare food all the time. I think it's funny what depends on who you, I worked out this morning. I take a lose it, I work out. But I also function at a pretty high, like I'm going all the time. But if you're somebody who would want to, maybe some people want to be at home and maybe don't want to be out and about running around and wanting to, if they find that, but I find if I keep busier, it's better for me. So it's maybe trying it a busy day. And if you find, oh, this was really easy today because I didn't even think about it, before I knew it, my day was done and I get to eat. Yay. And I find Sunday to Monday, because I also too, on the weekends, I relax a little bit more. So I know I have a little bit extra, got some extra popcorn in there with some butter. So I know my body is going to be just fine using those extra resources. But I think it's just kind of maybe figuring out what works for you, trying a day when you're busy. And if you're like, okay, I can't do that, I can't function, then trying a day when you're not so busy.
Yeah.
Right?
Good advice.
Yeah. Is it better to eat fruit in the morning, midday, or is it get fruit in the evening? I'd start the day personally with more fats and proteins. That's how I usually tend to go. And if I was going to do fruit, I'd have more afternoon. That's when I would do fruit personally. That's my own take. And just because the idea that I think is that my body then is still utilizing fats, because if I've been in a fast, my body is utilizing the fat reserves that I have. And so by giving it fat still and proteins, it's still going to be on the kick of utilizing the fats that I'm going to be giving it. So that's how I kind of look at it. And then I'd have the carbohydrates a little bit later in the day, just kind of keep that burning of the fats as I keep going. And should protein be increased if one's exercising? So if you're not exercising at all, you can do 0.8. So how to calculate the protein needs again. So the protein needs, I'm going to go back to that slide. I can do that very easily. You can just power through here and you can take a screenshot. It is, you take your, wait, I went too far. There we go. There we go. Okay. So you're going to take your weight in kilograms and you're going to multiply it by 0.8 to 1 gram. So if you're not super active, then you take your weight in kilograms, not in pounds, because otherwise you'll have a lot. You're going to be a lot of protein. You're going to totally blow your mind how much protein you're going to need if you do it by your pounds. So you're going to do it by your kilograms and you're going to times that by 0.8 if you're not that active and 1 if you are active. As I said, I work out, I move my body every morning in some capacity. That's part of my daily habits. And I have a lot of protein in my diet day to day. If I choose anything, it's always usually protein if I'm going to have something. I find I just function better. I find I function better on it too. So that's the thing of tuning in to how you feel better. I have a girlfriend that starts her morning with oatmeal every morning and she feels fantastic. So by learning to also do this flexible fasting, you begin to tune in a little bit more. So, okay, I don't feel very good if I have, like a couple eggs and some nut butter or whatever for breakfast, whatever your case may be. I feel better when I have oatmeal in the morning time. So by tuning into this fasting, you're able to really connect to what makes you feel and optimally function your best, because we're all so different. And I can say, this works for me and this is amazing. You could try to be like, this totally doesn't work for me, right? So we really have to land in a space of, I've created my own little Aeryonism of stuff that I've grabbed over the years. Like, oh, I like that. I'm going to try that. That works for me. And I like this. And so by even listening to this webinar today, there might be some things that I've said, oh, I like that. I'm going to try this. Well, that works for me. That's great. This is going to stick. That didn't work. That's not going to stick. Right. And so you're able to really kind of figure out what works best for you, so you feel the best and are able to be your best self.
Yeah. I always say there's so many factors that determine what we need, right? Like there's so many factors. So play around, experiment, find what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a formula for carbs and fat? I believe there is a formula for carbs and fat, but the thing with carbs is everybody is so different. It just depends on how your body processes carbs, how your metabolism is, all of those things, right? So for me, I tend to try to utilize under about 100 grams of carbs a day, but I'm not counting. I find that's where I optimize. That's where I feel best. And the same with the fats. I don't count my fats by any stretch. It's the protein I'm more concerned with. And because I don't overeat fats. I've never sat there and eaten a bucket of nuts. It's just an animal, so it's the protein that I don't eat enough of. That's usually the problem too. So the greens product is Superfoods by Prairie Natural. So it's right there. Okay. Awesome. Whole grain carbs. Yes, they are recommended for sure. Make sure if you're going to have carbs, make sure you have those whole grains. And then of course, potatoes and fruits and all those natural, as close as you possibly can to the real deal is what we really want to be looking at. And your body can do its job, which is digestion and breaking it down and getting all those little micro nutrients for you. So.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Aeryon. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. You're such a good presenter. We look forward to having you back again in the fall. I don't know what you're going to talk about next, but I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
It'll be fun. It'll be exciting.
Thanks everybody for attending. I will send out that follow-up email tomorrow with the recording link, the flexible planning guide, your discount code, and maybe even today, maybe later today if I can get it early enough. And I'll connect with Patricia on the prize. I hope everybody enjoyed that. We will definitely look to have Aeryon back, and keep an eye on upcoming webinars on our website. You can visit naturalfoodpantry.ca, visit the classes and services tab to find out what's coming up. We've got tons for you this spring, including a 10-day cleanse program with me. So every spring and fall, I run a 10-day clean eating challenge. Amazing. And we could certainly incorporate in intermittent fasting in the program. You're able to choose when and what you eat to a degree. There's lots of guidance. There's all the recipes will be provided, the shopping list, and so on. It's always a lot of fun to connect with people from the community and eat clean for 10 days, reset some habits. Thanks again, Aeryon. I see lots and lots of thank yous in the chat.
Thank you, everybody.
Lots of gratitude.
That. I will say somebody did ask if they can have coffee with this. I did see that and I didn't answer it. You can have a coffee with it. If you're somebody who gets really overstimulated, be a little careful but it is only a cup and a half of coffee in here. So you might not even need your cup of coffee in the morning with it because it really does give you that like clarity to go.
Would you always recommend taking Lose It first thing in the morning, or could somebody take it like at noon or so?
Oh yeah, you could take it at noon as well. My mom takes it before pickleball at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. I actually had no idea she was taking it. We were in Montreal a while ago and she said, "Where's your red pills for energy?" Like, what? You mean I don't have red pills for energy? And she has a red one. I'm like, "You take Lose It?" And my mom's a really tiny lady. And she's like, "I take it before pickleball. I feel fantastic." I'm like, "You go, girl. Like, you do your pickleball." So if you're a pickleball player, there you go. Then take it in the afternoon. So awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
And have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you, Aeryon. That was wonderful.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for today and organizing all of this.
We will be in touch about something, an upcoming staff training and another consumer training.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye.